Okay, this is Orlando Wilson, and in this video, which is part of our international security series, I'm talking to an old friend of mine, Shimaleko. And what we're going to talk about is providing close protection services in potentially hostile environments, in this case, Venezuela. Shimel's Venezuelan, he grew up there, he understands the country, understands the culture, understands Venezuela. In this video, we'll highlight, you'll see the differences between the realities of providing close protection services and the fantasy. And especially on social media these days, there's a lot of people pushing the fantasy. We'll discuss a lot of things that aren't covered on the hostile environment courses. That's definitely not covered on the BS, SIA, close protection courses or executive protection specialist courses. We're talking about the realities of providing protection services in potentially hostile environments. If you're a client, if you watch this, hopefully you'll be able to identify if the people you're looking to hire to provide you with protection services are actually going to provide you with protection, or they're going to be liabilities and get you into more trouble. So hopefully this video will give you a few things to think about. If you watch the end of the video, you'll hear how Shimel had issues. Shimel was falsely arrested on terrorism charges, falsely. He was listed in the end as a UN political prisoner. So from this video as well, you can see Venezuela and such places as Venezuela are extremely dangerous, not just criminally, but also politically. If you don't understand what I mean politically, watch the video and you'll understand by the end of the video.
Okay, I'm here today with an old friend of mine, Shimel from Venezuela, now in, where are you in, Quebec?
I'm in Quebec now, Montreal.
Hey, it's too cold for me. What's the weather like there now?
Well, it's acceptable, but a few days ago it was minus 29.
Minus 29. Oh,
Yeah,
a little bit cold in practice, right?
Yeah, a little colder, just a little.
Hey, how long have I known you now? Must be almost 20 years, right?
20 years, almost, yeah. Yeah, it's been a long time.
That's scary. Early 90s? Early 2000s?
2000s, 2003 to 2004. Yeah. When I first went to the US to take a course with you, my first course, CP course. Yeah.
And it all deteriorated from there, right?
Well, yeah, kind of.
20 years. Hey, what I want to talk about, you're in Venezuela for a long time. You're living in Venezuela. So you know what people are like. We've had it when you were there, people asking us about providing security, and you provided security there. You're the security company. But you get these people that think they can go into places like Venezuela and other hostile environments, potentially hostile environments, and think they can do what they want. And I don't know if you've seen, I spoke to my guy, Obina from Nigeria, and Nigeria is the same. People think they can go to Nigeria and do whatever they want. There's rules and regulations in place.
Definitely.
And the thing is, in places like that, if you start playing games, you're going to have severe problems.
Exactly.
So let's start off by saying, what are the problems of providing security, protection to clients in Venezuela at the base level? What would you say the main problems are?
Well, the main problem is you have to be very discreet. You have to be very low profile, starting by the authorities. The authorities will tag you immediately, okay? And they will tag your client. If they see you flashing your gear, if they see your body language, confident body language, which you have to really hide. If they see you with flashy cars, they're going to stop you. They're going to put you in trouble. They're going to, put conditions on you. They're going to look for money. They're going to know, they will want to know who you are, why you're there. And you're going to have a very uncomfortable trip, okay? Not just the authorities, well, some of the authorities, okay? But the criminals are just, they're hunting they're hunting those kind of behaviors, and it's a situation. There's a lot of hunger, there's a lot of need, so they go for the high flashy and value targets. Okay, so yeah, basically it's that low profile.
People don't realize, again, you said about the police looking for targets. I'm not going to say anything about the police working with criminals, etc., or the police being criminals. But again, the police are very observant about what's going on. The police are observant about what's happening. And if you're a stranger turning up, you're going to be identified quickly, right?
Definitely, immediately. They're going to tag you. They know. There is in Venezuela is a place where they tag people and they recognize people immediately if you're not from their culture, if you look like them, you know. So even if it's a country of immigrants, the majority of the people who work in the government, work in the police, they're locals, like people who are like not immigrants, and they tag you immediately. They tag you. They know that well, if they see you, you're not like them. Okay, you have money. If they see you with a car, you have money. You know, there's a rupture in class. There's a rupture in not in just your appearance, but in your social class, like if you have money or not. Okay, because it's a country in need. It's not like Europe that you go, you walk. If you're black, some places, if you're white, if you're Asian, if you're Arab, like, you know, they see you like someone normal. No, you really make a difference there if you have something different. Okay, and they even follow you from the airport. You know, if you bring someone and you're covering, you're protecting someone, they tag you from the airport. The same guards inside of the airport, it happened, you know, they call outside, people's waiting, they follow you, and they just intercept you in the tunnel or arriving, or when you stop in the traffic. So you have to be very careful and low profile. It's camouflage. You have to use like camouflage, which is the basic and main, I always said it, defense mechanism that's part of nature. Like, you have to use it. You flash your target immediately.
What would you say? And again, what a lot of people don't understand, again, it's firearms laws. I think now they outlawed private citizens owning firearms.
Well, when I was there, it's been allowed and it's been banned. It has depend on the politic situation of the country. When they see when they see people are starting to manifest and there's tension socially against the government, they ban it. Okay, and then you have to reapply for a new firearm permit. So you can have the permit. They give you the permit, but at the same time, they can blame you did something, or it's restricted in many places where you just can't take it because you don't have where to leave it. You know, I mean, you can take it. You have your gun permit. I was stopped once, but inside the airport area, you cannot carry it, even in the parking. So where are you going to live? We're going to leave your gun with who? Like, if you take it with you in the street and you're going to the airport, there's no such a place where you can leave your gun, and you don't want to leave it unattended, that's the worst thing you can do when you have a gun. So I was stopped. I was detained. They took my gun and they let me go. Okay, the gun is now confiscated. I had to call a friend. He called a sergeant from the guard. Hey, he works in the security, and then he said, "What?" And I told him, "Listen, but okay, you're taking the gun. Permits are allowed. Where can I leave my gun?" "Well, sorry, you can't have it." He took the gun. Then when they called the sergeant, I went back to the post office. of the National Guard, and the guy gave me my gun. And he said, well, next time you can have it, but just hide it, don't, So now, because the superior gave him the order, they know who I am, so it's much who you know, how you do it, and it's all, they gave me back my gun, and he told me be discreet. So,
that was going to cost you money, right?
It would have cost me a lot of money, but I
So
just
put it
made
this
the phone
way,
call.
if a foreigner is caught carrying a firearm illegally, what's going to happen?
You're
Let's say
gonna
we
go
got
to
a
jail.
gringo, we got an American turn up that's somebody's
Completely,
giving.
yes. They can blame you if there's tension in the politics situation at a politic level between opposition and the officials. They can just take you and do whatever they want with you. They can blame you as a terrorist. They can blame you at you had a gun without permit. They can, or you can be lucky. He can ask $100, $200 from you and let you go. It depends what it depends on the officer that stops you. If he's a high rank and he stops you, you're going to be in trouble.
Let's talk about now. We talked about this before when we had people asking about protection there. Logistic wise, what logistical support is there for people going there providing security as far as the hospitals, medical, etc.? Let's say you got a client.
Okay.
Let's say you got a client, they need to go to the hospital. What are the hospitals like?
You don't go to hospitals there, you go to a clinic. You go to a clinic, you better have an international insurance or travel insurance, a good one, and you go to a clinic. You don't want to go to a hospital because you can just wait outside and die outside, unless you have a doctor that works also in that hospital, which he can find all the medical equipment for you and the access and pass you very fast. But the difference between a hospital is free attention, but extremely bad unless you have a doctor that you have a contact inside, but you go to a clinic. You go to a clinic. If you go to a clinic, it's pretty fast. It's even quite, I was surprised, even quite faster than Quebec and Canada. I mean, you go to a clinic, you know a doctor there, yes. But you don't go to a hospital. It's you're playing the roulette if you go to a hospital.
Are the clinics well equipped? Could they deal with, say, a gunshot wound, trauma, etc.?
They deal with it. They deal with it. They're good. There are very good doctors in the clinics. Very good doctors. But unfortunately for the situation, actually, many of them have left the country because they're not well paid and it's very difficult and it's hard to maintain things. There's a big contrast regarding that, regarding clinics and hospitals. It's a different world. It's like going to a different country.
The money talks,
it's complicated. Right? Like in a morgue, for example, in Venezuela. In one weekend, I remember in one morgue, there could be probably 45 dead entering in one weekend in one morgue in Caracas. So it's basically just like a war zone.
And why is that? Is that down? It's people don't understand.
Crime, gangs. They just shoot you to take your car. You stop in a red light at night. So yeah, you can't cross a red light. If a cop sees you, he can stop you and take money from you. But if you stop, you get robbed. If you cross, you get the ticket. So you have to really think and see how. So I was shot once on a red light. Remember, I think I told you about.
I remember, I got the pictures.
14 shots. It's a whole Glock magazine. They shot it at me. Unfortunately, the car was bulletproof. But yeah, and I've been followed several times, and yeah, it's crazy. Just for they see you have a car and they need parts for their car because the economic situation complicate things. They just, you know, let's go and rob someone or kill someone who has that car, and we sell the parts.
There's a couple of points there. It's like, I don't think a lot of people, especially from US, North America, Canada, and Europe, Western Europe, understand how cheap life is. They don't understand how
very cheap
gangbangers, the criminals view that life is nothing. Which again, it's like you say.
They don't care. It's a whole. It's a whole. It's their education, their formation. It's the lack of opportunities that the country offers. You know, everything that is public now, like in the last 20 years, is a complete disaster. You know, you have to go private, and those who don't have the opportunity, they just have to survive. You know, and there's a lot of favelas. There's like 60-70% of the Caracas area is surrounded by favelas. Like, you know, they're great people who work. They struggle, which is they have a lot of will to work, but there are, you know, these conditions create people who have to survive, and they just their formation is based on stealing, killing to survive. And they don't care. They're not aware of the consequences. And it's amazing because they go to jail, they get out, they keep killing, they go to jail, they pay the judge, they get out. And this is how they do.
Let me mention something I was thinking before we had this conversation. He's talking about when your car was shot, right?
Sure.
You just dropped the client off, right?
I was just dropping the client. I dropped the client. He wasn't with me, fortunately. And I was dropping my partner, my guy, my colleague. I was taking him to his house. So, and basically, we were on the other car, which wasn't on the other Land Cruiser, the green one, you remember one, which it was not armored. And we stopped at my place to change cars. I told him, listen, you know what? We're close to my house because he lives quite far in a quite risky area, you know, close to the favelas. And let's just go home. Wait for me 2 minutes. I'm just going to go get the keys. I will take the armored car. And that was the decision of my life, basically. You know, the sixth sense. It's like, why having an armored car parked in your garage if you can use it? Like, you have to be very preventive. And my head works like that since I was little. And I work in the close protection business because I am structured to prevent. I do it in my personal life. I've been doing it on my personal life. So when you're used to do it on your personal life, which any close protection specialist should do it, you know, you don't do it just when you're working. You have to become a bodyguard. You know, you have to train, you have to exercise, you have to become a bodyguard. It's like when you're a car racer, you have to become a car racer. Your personal life. You don't just think in the car every time you race. No, what you eat, what you train, what you do, what you think, you know. So I'm structured like that, and I always listen to my sixth sense. And we just took the car, went out. We were driving. We just quite stopped in a red light. It was like 11:30 at night, and a pickup truck just stopped beside us. They took out a gun, and the way they did it, they were ex-cops because they could shoot. The tactical way they did it, they did not block me because I have a big fender. If they block me, they will have been in trouble, you know. And they saw me that I accelerated the car. They start shooting at me. Like, they shoot without any, they don't have any mercy. And they were surprised that that old Land Cruiser was armored. You know, it was because it's a low profile car, you know, and yeah, it was a level 2 armored vehicle, and it did great. The car did great, and I wanted to confront them, but I followed the rules. There are two main reasons why I did not confront them, because I had a big front defense on my car that could probably crash them and put them in trouble. The car was not a level 5, you know. I don't know if they would have long rifles or Uzis or you know, something stronger. The windows were smashed already, you know. And when you have someone in the car, you just go for prevention. You don't face anyone, you know. You don't how do you say in English? You don't confront anyone when you have someone, because I'm driving, he's my responsibility, you know. So you have to come down, think, understand your position, and the fact that the car was armored, you're a winner. You don't have to show to anyone that you can beat those guys, you know. So I left him in his house, and he told me that there was a hole in the gas tank. The bullet just went through 2 armored metals plates, and
space.
Like, if you wanted to you know, aim on it, you couldn't. So there was a hole in the gas tank, and the gas tank was just dropping, you know, gasoline. And I told him, you know what, I have to go through the same road. If I don't call you in 10 minutes, just call help. I didn't tell him the police, just call help. You know? I don't want to get robbed, you know. Hey, it's not that all the police is like that, but you know, they're great police officers there. But you know, there's corruption everywhere. And I took the road back, and when we left, Richard, my colleague, he told me, I think their car had stopped. I said, well, if it stopped, I'm going to go back. I'm going to put the seatbelt on. I'm going to smash my car, because now I'm alone. You know, if I find them there, you know, and their car is broken, I'm just going to run over them. You know, I'm alone. I'm free. I can do whatever I want, which is also probably a stupid decision. But yeah, payback time.
Some things just have to happen. It's karma, right?
Yeah, of course. Exactly. So they weren't there, and I barely drove against, like, in the highway and in the roads against the sense, like on the other sense. It was very dangerous, but I couldn't stop in the street. And I got home with the gasoline that I just had on the carburetor. The car just, when I parked my car, the car shut off. It was meant to be.
Let me ask you this. This is one thing. How much that cost to repair that car?
Wow, you have to do like it's cost could probably cost you $25,000, $30,000 to repair that car.
This is what people say to me. This is the way I think these days. When you're taking risks, people want you to take risks. And I use one story about Haiti, some guy we refused to take somewhere. He wasn't with a client years ago. And I said to this guy, and he said to us, are you afraid to take me to this area? And I said, I'm not afraid to take you. But are you going to pay if the car is damaged?
Exactly.
Because again, you got to think about it. It's not just the risk. Okay, yes, the risk is always there. But also you got to think logistically, okay, if you get your car shot up, that's going to cost you a lot of money. And also, you're not going to be working because the car takes time to repair. The glass and stuff, they had to bring that. Was the glass, could you get that glass local, or did it have to be brought in from Colombia?
You can do it local. There are people who does it local. And the only advantage is that glass is straight, because the Land Cruiser FZG has, it's like the Mercedes. You don't have to bend it on the oven, so sure. It's less expensive, you know. But you can do it locally, yes.
But again, it's all this, I think, logistically. And when these days when people are on about doing stupid stuff, I think, okay, how much? Yes, you can get arrested. Yes, you can end up in hospital. Yes, you can end up all this is going to cost you a lot of money if there's problems. And I don't think all these wannabe CP guys, all these wannabe heroes don't understand the consequences. Without the legal consequences, logistical consequences going to cost you a hell of a lot of money.
Definitely. Andy, when you confront or you take risks, there are more chances that things will go bad than going good, you say? Okay. So it's not about just surviving, it's paying the cost of things, you know, and you never know how it goes. You're trained to save your life, and this is what we do. And we group all the skills, me personally, the skills I did to build a very good and complete security company, and to build a great team. But you have to understand that you have to base your work and your mindset into prevention. You don't want to face it's like, remember those reporters, they wanted to do like a real show of us like going, and it's like you may stay with us 4 months, 5 months without shooting anything, because we avoid confrontation. It's not like cops that they go where the shooting is being made. No, we go the opposite way. So what are you going to do, like sitting in my car and the camera for 4 or 5 months? People
so, again, the TV people asking, oh, they expect there to be action. I tell you, we don't want action.
We don't want action. I don't want action.
If there's action, then there's a problem. And again,
of course,
we're going to have legal problems. It's going to cost us money. We're going to have problems.
Of course. Listen, I always say an example to our students, to my students. If you have, it's better to not have an armored car and take the safe road than having an armored car, even a tank, and going through the risky road. You know, you just avoid the area. Avoid the area. You can walk. If you walk through a safe road, nothing's going to happen to you. If you have a tank and you go to a risky road, you don't know what's they're waiting for you. You know, so you always have to work based on that mindset.
Kidnappings. Everybody associates Venezuela with kidnappings.
It's a classic. All kinds of, all prices, all kind of kidnappings, all colors, all forms.
Has it got better? Has it got worse, or what?
I think it's better now. It's a little better. They have been kind of cleaning a little bit. And I think because the government have been having bad reputation, and a lot of, it came to a point where even government officials have been victims of kidnapping. So, there are, what they do now is that officials are involved in the kidnappings. So they're the ones who show you they're helping, because they're famous, because they're intermediaries with the kidnappers, but the kidnappers works for them, you know. So I know a couple, I don't want to mention names, they're very famous in the country, and but it works like that. Even there was a time where express kidnapping was very famous, was very common, you know. So they just kidnap you, a kid or a girl, whatever. Okay, give us the number of your family or someone. We have her. We want $20,000 cash, and yeah. So they might kill you. They might release you. It came to a point where they were understanding that releasing the hostage was more profitable for them, because then people would know that if you pay, they will be released. So to give that confidence to the family members. So it came very, very common, and I had to deal with a couple of them, and one of them was my uncle. You know, So I had to negotiate with them, and yeah, it's always risky. But when a lot of them were police officers that were just in their free time. You know, they're like, okay, we have 2 days free. We just go out, we kidnap, and we come back and we work. You know, there are all kinds. There are gangs, police officers, organized crime. Depends on the value. If you're a person that you're worth a lot of money, the street gangs won't know, but you know, the organized crime will know. They check your bank accounts. They know everything. They access. Oh, this guy's worth $1 million. They make sure you have the money. They go for you or for your kids, and they go for the family members.
People don't realize, and I think this is where a lot of people, they focus on the street level gangs and that's it. But they don't realize if the kidnappers, and again, this is throughout Latin America and the Caribbean, the organized crime, and again, this even branches into, as you say, law enforcement and politics. There's law enforcement involved, there's political people involved. They know everything. If they're going for big ransoms, they know who you are, how much money you've got, and when you can deliver it.
100%. 100%.
And this is where it's like, you said about the cop thing, I got stories about that out of Mexico. And it's like, I don't know, it's complicated. People think, and again, this is back down to the Walter Mitty world. You know what I mean by Walter Mitty? It's like the make-believe world. Some guys, it's make-believe. All these people, again, I'll bash a lot of the security courses. People go and do a CP course, they do this course, and their head's full of Walter Mitty dreams that they can go and be heroes. They don't understand the reality of what they're dealing with. And one thing I bash as well is this kidnap and ransom insurance. It's like, okay, just because somebody's got an insurance policy doesn't mean you're not going to get kidnapped. And again, if something goes bad, what are people going to do? Nobody's going to come and rescue you. You're screwed.
Exactly.
The emphasis is on don't get kidnapped in the first place.
They don't understand the reality. They don't understand the reality. You have to. They even know who signs on the bank account, so they know who to kidnap. You know, they're not going to kidnap the person that has access to the bank accounts. So you have no excuses.
I don't know. I said it in one with one of the guys we were dealing with in Haiti. He was kidnapped. They told him how much he had in his bank account. They said, no, how many days ago you had $87,000 put in your bank account? He spent 70. He said, how much you have? 70. Okay, you have 70. We want 70.
A lot of clients also, they think that because they have 2 or 3 guys which look tough because they have flashy gear, they feel secured, and they think that the kidnappers, either cops, either organized crime, either street gangs, they are going to be intimidated. These people want their gear, their life, their flashlight, and everything. You're showing them that I'm here, I have all this. That doesn't intimidate anyone. You're going to be like a prey. You're a prey. And the client, just by as I said, the client will feel secure and will feel comfortable in going everywhere, and they stop taking those prevention measures. And these bodyguards, what they do is just follow the client wherever they want. And this is just relying on luck. You haven't been killed, you haven't been kidnapped because it wasn't your turn that day, but not because the kidnappers saw you and they decided not to kidnap you. You know,
I use the term these days, they're like big fish in a small pond.
Exactly.
But when those big fish go out into the sea, the sharks chew them up.
Exactly.
Remember, I was just saying, there's something come to mind. you remember we was contacted by a woman years ago? All of this is years ago now, we're old. She owned gas stations, I think, up on the Colombian and Venezuelan border. And she approached us for security, and she wanted to go cheap.
I remember.
And it's like, I think she said, I mean, you met her, I think you met her and whatever, nice, what you said, she was a nice woman. But again, she was going to hire a local bodyguard up there for next to nothing. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you even told her, it's like, well, how do you know that guy up there, he's must be working with the criminals anyway.
Exactly.
If they want you kidnapped, he's not going to risk his life for you. He's not going to risk his family. So you hire somebody local, I think a couple $100 a month, a week or something she wanted to pay, something ridiculous.
Completely.
But it's like, that guy is going to be working with the criminals. If they say to him, okay, we want to kidnap her this time and place, he'll be like, okay, no worries. That's it.
They'll go for the family of the bodyguard, and they're just going to tell him, listen, we have your mom, we have your kid, give us all the information, or, you know, if you say something, we're going to kill your son.
They got no choice. But this is where, I don't know, it's people don't understand the complexities of security. As you said, they see a man with a gun, they got a guy with a gun with them, and they feel safe.
Yes.
But in reality,
completely not.
In most places, that guy with a gun's most likely to shoot you by accident if anything goes wrong than anything else.
Definitely, right? Definitely. I've seen a lot of cases. I've seen people shooting great shooters, very safe and very responsible. And I've seen bodyguards who have just said they have experience. They have courses here and courses there. You know, they're all, and they can't hit the target at 7 meters. You know, it's incredible. You know, and so imagine under stress. This is why when I train my students, like the gun carrying fact is a very serious issue. But you've done it as well, and I've kind of learned that from you. And you just have I stand the students beside the target, you know, because that's the situation you're going to live in the street. If you're not able to aim when someone is shooting at you, you're not ready. You're not ready. One thing is an experience in life that I had when I used to race motocross. I used to do the time on the track. I was fine. I thought I was going to race win the race. But when you have 40 guys that want to, you know, if you fall, they're gonna just ride over you. They don't care. They're gonna, you know, they're gonna step over you, and you have 40 guys behind you. They want to smash you. It's completely different. Like it's completely different. You have the stress, you have the people, you have the motorcycle, you have the track conditions, and time is the less of your worries. So I shoot at the target. If they're not able to stand beside the target, they're not ready. They're not ready.
Hey, we've done that. It's one thing we do, you know. And it's like I've had people say on some of the stuff we don't, oh, it's dangerous, whatever. My reply to that is, if you think it's dangerous in a controlled environment, in a safe environment, with people that can shoot straight, that they're on your side, right?
Exactly.
If you're not, if you're uncomfortable in that environment, don't go on the street.
Definitely not.
Do not carry a gun on the street. As you said, they're not ready. I think this is where you see a lot of shootings, especially in the US, cop shootings. And there's bullets flying everywhere. Nobody's hitting the target. Why? For that first time, they actually realize they're going to get screwed up or they're going to screw somebody else up, and they panic. That's not the time to realize that, again, if you're protecting somebody, that's not the time to realize that, oh shit, I'm not cut out for this.
Exactly.
You're better off. I tell people, if the things we do scare you, then go find another job. Go.
That's exactly. You have to be realistic of your capabilities. You know, we all have fears. I fear, but I work in what I feel confident to do, you know, because someone is relying on you. You can't just go and fool a client. Oh, yeah, it's money. That person is putting his life in your hand. There are many things that make me scared. I'm scared of earthquakes. I'm scared of because things that you can't control. And yeah, when a building is shaking, I freak out. You know, people they're not scared of earthquakes. One thing I have maybe because I started very early and I matured that part. I started shooting firearms when I was 9 years old, you know.
Mhm.
So and I've been there when there's a shooting between people, like in the street. Somehow like my heart rate stays barely the same, and I can focus. My vision becomes like the radar, the target of a fighter jet that start analyzing where to shoot, completely under control. And I don't shake, my hand doesn't shake, and I feel in complete confidence and control. This is something I have that I can put in practice. You know, if you can't do that, don't do it. You know.
I think you said something earlier about the sixth sense. It's not just the sixth sense. It's like, I've written something about this recently. You have to be comfortable in your environments.
Yeah.
And if you're comfortable in what others classes, a lot of people say, okay, it's chaos. It's not chaos. It's a comfortable environment. If you're not comfortable on the street, if you're not comfortable dealing with those situations, and I used to get it. Where would you know? When I was doing the courses in South Florida, I used to take people even to the SWAT shop up in Fort Lauderdale. I don't know if you remember it. Or I used to take people into the hood. And I used to
I remember. Yeah.
I used to take people into those areas, and okay, they're ethnic areas. I used to get people afraid. I had people refuse to go into the hood. Right? And it's like, okay, this is America. If you're afraid to go into these areas now, but you're telling me you want to be a high-risk bodyguard, you want to do all this badass stuff, you're afraid to go for a coffee at a Dunkin' Donuts overall.
Exactly.
Don't tell me you're a tough guy. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah, exactly. You have to be honest to yourself. You have to be honest.
There's one other story. Do you remember? I mentioned this earlier. The woman that was staying at some hotel and somebody tried to extort her.
Yeah, I remember.
Tell me the story, because this is interesting.
Yes, very interesting. She ordered a package, and the package was left at the reception, I think. And it was a FedEx guy who took her phone number from the details, from her personal information, and he started extortion her. What I did, she called me immediately. I went to the hotel. What I did is I told her, follow his request. Tell him yes. Tell him you want to see him. The guy was a little like also not just extortion, but he wanted to have like a sexual approach to her, you know, like profiting the extortion. And talk to him nice, schedule a time, tell him to meet at the reception, okay? I'll deal with the rest. I talked to the security guards in the hotel. I talked to the security manager. We built like a protective surveillance team right there, completely undercover. And yes, we find out it was the FedEx guy. And when the guy came, she was there. I was beside her, you know, not showing that I was walking with her like any other client from the hotel with a suitcase and a bag, holding whatever. I don't remember my passport, walking all senses. When she approached him and we made sure it was the guy, there was like 4 or 5 guys. They just grabbed him, called the cops. Bye, ciao, you know. So even you can't just even leave your information to anyone.
That was a decent hotel, right?
That was a 5-star hotel.
So this is where, again, I mentioned this about hotel security. You don't know. And a lot of hotels, again, 5 stars. I think somebody, again, a lot of 5-star hotels, they're going to attract criminals. They're going to attract people with money.
Exactly.
So when you have the criminals, when you have the people with money, then you get all the sharks come to feed on the big fish.
Definitely. Yeah.
So
FedEx guy,
yeah.
who would have known?
Such is life. right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Do you want to talk about what happened, your issues in Venezuela?
Venezuela or Georgia? Venezuela. Okay. We'll keep Georgia for another time. Yeah. Well, I was a politic prisoner myself. The country was in a very difficult situation between opposition and officials. As people know, Venezuela has turned into a complicated country, a kind of communist-supported country. Everything was nationalized, and well, basically there were riots everywhere, manifestations, people manifesting in all the cities, and well, basically I had one of my armored cars, very well equipped, detained. I invited my brother. There were like manifestations very close to my house. I invited my brother to have dinner on a Lebanese restaurant. After that, he decided to walk home. I told him, listen, I'll take you with my car. It was my basically my supercar, the one I armored after that incident I told you about. And I took him with my car, and we stopped in front of his building. We talked a little bit, and there were some cops just taking off a barricade that the neighbors installed as like to manifest. My brother descended the car. He entered the building, and when I was leaving, a cop just raised his hand. I saw him through the back for the mirror of the car. I parked the car again, descended the car, left my gun on the console, on the mid console between the two seats of the car. It's a cop who's stopping you, so there's no need to descend with a gun, no matter the intentions. So he asked me, what are you doing here? I said, well, I just left my brother. Are you armed? Raise your hands. I said, yes, the gun is in the car. And I raised my hands. He saw the two magazines hanged on my belt, and he pointed the gun at me. He pushed me through the wall, you know. And I said, well, nothing to worry about. You know, he's just doing his job. Some of them are a little aggressive, some of them not. He called his partners. There were like 7 cops. When they checked the car, they saw all the car equipped, oxygen tanks, armored vehicle, rescue gear, bulletproof vests. That was the car I used to work and to protect my clients. This is the basic stuff you can have.
Let me jump in here. And again, you used to always carry in your car, I know for a fact, you had stuff for clients. Yeah. Everything from toothpaste to soap to, again, you had your sat phone for clients, which you used
cell phones, yeah, soaps, like hygiene kits. If they stay in the hotel, their bags don't arrive, because it's very common in the airport that your bags don't arrive, you know. So it was, yeah, like a medicine kit, personal hygiene kit, even clothes for them, for women and men, rescue gear, oxygen tanks, gas masks, you know. Everything with the invoices, with you know, I had a whole envelope with all the invoices to prove that I bought this gear, you know. And permits are legal for guns. It wasn't. But then the excuse was that there's a cop that was shot in the manifestation close to our house. It's like you know, 1 kilometer distance. And when they saw all that gear, the guy called, hey, come and see this, guys. They entered my car. They started stealing and putting things under their, you know, their bulletproof vest, armored vest. When I saw the lack of seriousness of this intervention, I said, oh, shit, you know. I think I'm quite in the trouble here, because they're looking for someone to probably blame. Then my brother saw the problem through his window, and he came down, and when he exited the building, the cops grabbed him and they asked him, who is he? He's my brother. I just left him. We just ate on a restaurant. It's not me that shot the cop. There are two reasons. You can see the invoice payment of the restaurant, and you can smell my gun. If you shoot a gun once, you can smell it, or you can see it. My barrel was like a mirror, you know, and it smells like oil. I always kept it like that. So it's a good reason to believe the gun has not been shot at. So they handcuffed him as well. And the superior told them to handcuff my brother. They put us on the car, inside the car, and they took us to the police station inside our car. And they just blamed us off. Next day, they took all the gear up. They blamed us like terrorists, Lebanese terrorists, financed by the opposition in the United States. They mentioned Obama. They mentioned the leader of the opposition in Venezuela, and we were trafficking weapons, you know. Well, they did all that show. The attorney, I don't want to say names, of the government that it makes the accusation, pressured by the government, he actually knew we didn't do anything because my relatives knew him, and we had, I don't want to give details, but we had friends in common. He asked me, how the hell did you let yourself caught by the cops? I said, well, a cop is stopping me. I'm just descending my car very respectfully, because if I would have left, you would accuse me that I was putting resistance in a detention. So how can I win? You know, you bastard government, like you're gonna blame me anywhere for anything I do, you know? So, well, he told me, we're gonna release your brother, but they have to keep someone detained to justify the whole story, you know? So it was hard times. My wife was pregnant. I couldn't see my daughter when she was born. I wasn't there. They held me for 2 years. They took my car to the White House to show it to the president and minister of defense. They liked the car. I guess they did not keep it because it's 2 doors. It's quite complicated, you know. But it was a particular car that it was kind of a project I did. And yeah, it was hard times, very, very unfair. Prisons there are hell. There's a place called hell, and like it's here on earth. And yeah, I went through a lot. Tortures and hunger and thirst and living conditions. Like barely sleeping on the floor for 1.5 years, you know. And yeah, they just make yourself miserable. They're there for that. You find also good people that's willing to help, which you know, there's always good people. They're just working there for a payment, for a salary. Then I went. They took me out after 2 years, and I was home arrestment. I couldn't leave my house for 2 years. And the first day when you leave prison after 2 years, the country changed so much that all your client, all those corporations you used to work with, they left the country. They left the country for, right? I mean, the country became like for the economic reasons, and half of them, they were scared to hire me or hire my service because I was already related as and tagged as a politic prisoner, and you know, they didn't want to have problems with the government. They just wanted to justify their story. They knew I was just a guy, you know, working. And they were afraid. Who's this guy, you know, that has all that? And they knew, and that's it. Sorry?
You was listed as a political prisoner, right?
Sorry?
you were listed as a political prisoner.
100%. Yeah, of course.
With the United Nations.
Yes, United Nations, yeah, as well. And one reason is that in 4 years, they did not open one court session for you to defend yourself. So you are kidnapped. You're a prisoner, but you're kidnapped by the government officially. Like, I would have been treated better if the organized crime would have kidnapped me.
You'd have been released.
I swear,
Yeah.
they would have treated me with more respect, like, I think they're, yeah, I believe that. And since day one, when I saw like my life like this, they take you to the future, you see your house empty because they entered my house. They had to come twice to enter my house. First they came, but the neighbors did not let them come in, throwing rocks to the guard, they blocked the street. Next day they had to bring the National Guard and block the 4 streets that they gave access to the zone, and the tactical units, and of course. And they broke into my house, they took everything out, they broke the lamps, they destroyed bathrooms, they threw shit into the walls. National Guard was there, police was there, I don't know who went there. They threw tear gases to the people. Yeah, they act like I don't know, like animals, savages. And they believe whatever the government says. Oh yeah, we took the terrorists. They don't, because the government just said that we're terrorists. They go there believing the government, and yeah, this is the house of a terrorist. Let's break his lamps. Let's destroy his house. And so when I came there, I saw my house. I was like, okay, I'm with a daughter, no work. My house is destroyed, no money. And I started thinking, and I start building an application for medical emergencies, which now it's online. It's doing quite good. It's doing good. It's hard to start a project when you don't have the financial support. And I kept doing my consultations. I came to Montreal, and now I'm offering consultations through the website, self-defense courses. I'm pushing the app, and always towards protecting and saving life of people,
What's
it's a different project, but sorry?
What's the app?
The app, it's called Aid Pass. Aid, A-I-D, pass.com. It's a website, and you download the app to have just the emergency button. It's based on having a QR code where you stock all your emergency information. If you're unconscious, you have an accident, first responder or anyone can access very easily, and they can potentially save your life, reducing the possibilities of a malpractice any place in the world.
We talked about this before for stuff like NGOs and all the rest of it, corporations. I think it's ideal for medical and emergency stuff. It's at least then, instead of people keeping everybody's details on paper on their phone, it's all in one place, so everybody knows how to use it and how to get to it. But we'll talk about that later. I'm sure we'll do another video.
Sure,
Yeah.
Of course.
Again,
another topic.
It's a crazy trip, but the thing is like that, I think it shows the wrong time, wrong place, and you can have problems.
Wrong time, wrong place.
You look at, again, as we said about security equipment, low profile, what we deem as necessary equipment. So I know you had the gas mask and the vest for the clients because of the riots, the manifestations. It's like, okay, if somebody wants to turn that on you, it can be turned.
100%, of course.
And as you said about, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, the government kidnapping, the government arrest, that happens a lot. And again, it's you can easily get screwed up very, very quickly. And it is kidnapping. And it's not just happens in what's classed as third world countries, it can also happen in first world countries for maybe not as bad for so long, but it happens.
If they,
so this,
yes. Yeah.
If people are going in for you, you're going to have problems. If government people, local government people are going in for you, you're going to have problems. You can be arrested for anything. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. You piss off the wrong people, you're going to have problems. Your case, it was wrong time, wrong place, I think.
Yeah. Even one judge said that. One judge told me that exactly that same phrase. Yeah, when they first present me the first time, the judge said, "It's my head or your freedom. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time. I can't do anything."
And once they made the story, they had to keep the story going.
They had to keep someone. They released my brother. They had to keep me.
All right, good. All right, good chat. Anything you want to talk about to finish up? I think we covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, there's always more to cover, but
Yeah, we can talk all day, huh? Next time.
yeah. No, I mean, I think it's fine. I don't know if you have another question. You want to talk about another topic, and
I could, but we'd be here all night. So let's say you're in Quebec now. You're offering your self-defense stuff there. You're offering your consultations there.
Consultations, online close protection courses, all the basic theory. You can get it online through the website, through my website, which is AKL Elite Corp, aklelitecorp.com. You can just buy it by models, and then you decide to practice. They can go to practice with us, go to any school, take shooting courses, but people go to practice and they don't know the basics. The theory is very important. So, I recommend everyone to start by the theory.
All right. No worries. And we'll be talking in the future about other adventures and plans.
Of course. Of course.
We'll be keeping you out of trouble this time, okay? I'll look after you.
I'll try to stay out of trouble. I'll let you know if I go in jail here in Canada.
All right, Shamel, it's talking after a while, and we'll talk again.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much. It's been nice to see you. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Stay on.
Okay, hopefully this video has given you a few things to think about and highlighted some of the realities of operating in potentially hostile environments, the realities and the consequences. Such places as Venezuela can be unforgiving if you make mistakes, so you have to be extremely careful. Even if you're extremely careful and extremely wise, you can still have issues, big issues, life-changing issues. So this is where you need to understand the potential consequences of the actions that you're taking, and in some ways the industry you're in. If you're not ready to accept those consequences, if you're not wise enough to make precautions to avoid those consequences, find a different industry. In such places, if you think you're going to roll in like a big shark, if you think you're going to roll in like a big fish, well, the sharks are waiting for you. They're waiting for you to leave your pond. They will chew you up, and if you're lucky, spit you out. If not, you'll just disappear. That's the realities of operating in a lot of potentially hostile environments. They're unforgiving. So I'm going to be throwing up quite a few more interviews with some interesting people over the next few weeks, months. I have an array of videos up online already on our social media, covering various aspects of the close protection business, personal security, kidnap and ransom, etc. So follow us on social media. Check out our other videos. Also, I have an array of books up on Amazon that covers various aspects of the close protection and personal security, travel security businesses. And I'm working on another book at the moment. That's why I'm in a rustic environment. So in the meantime, I hope this video gives you a few things to think about. Be good, stay safe, and stay out of trouble. And also, if you can't be good, as this video highlights, don't get caught.